This event is jointly organized by the Department of Management and the Department of French at Pondicherry University, which is a book launch of the French translation of the work Fearless Governance, written by Dr. Kiran Bedi and translated as Une Gouvernance sans Peur by our respected senior colleague who was the former HOD of the Department of French, Professor S. Panirselvam. On behalf of the Department of Management as well as French and on my own personal behalf, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all the dignitaries and special guests present here, starting with Dr. Kiran Bedi, former Lieutenant Governor of Pondicherry and also Rector to Pondicherry University, former Rector to Pondicherry University, Professor K. Karasu, our Honorable Vice Chancellor here at Pondicherry University, Mr. Etienne Roland-Pieg, Consul General of France, Pondicherry and Chennai, Professor Clement S. Lourdes, Director of Culture and Cultural Relations here at Pondicherry University, Dr. Sandhya Cheran, VP of Frontier Lifeline Hospital, and Dr. K.M. Cherian Heart Foundation, and also the correspondent of the study school at Pondicherry. I also welcome Sri Tevaneti Das, retired IAS officer and former secretary to former LG of Pondicherry. Senior retired colleague, former head of the department at French department, Professor S. Panirselvam. Professor Rajneesh Bhutani, the registrar in charge of Pondicherry University. All the other dignitaries who are present here, I take a moment to welcome warmly all the deans, heads, faculty members of the two departments, Management, French, and our respected colleagues from other departments who are joining us. I also welcome the research scholars, all the students, particularly the students from study school today. I would like to invite our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor K. Karasu, to formally welcome the guests and the dignitaries.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, respected Madam Dr. Kiran Bedi, former Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry and author of Fearless Governance book. Mr. Etienne Roland-Pieg, Consul General of France in Puducherry and Chennai. Professor Clement S. Lourdes, Director Culture and Cultural Relations of Pondicherry University. Professor Rajneesh Bhutani, Registrar, Pondicherry University. Sri Devanidhi Das, IAS retired, former Secretary to our Honorable former LG of Puducherry. Dr. Sandhya Cherian, Correspondent of the Study School. Professor S. Panirselvam, former Head, Department of French, Pondicherry University. Sri Swami from NDTV and HOD Professor Kausalingam, Department of Management Studies, Dr. Bhushan Sudhagar and Dr. Sharmila, who are organizing this event. Head of the departments, deans of schools, all the faculty members from various departments, and my dear students, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all. So we have assembled here for the function of releasing French translated book of Fearless Governance, a book by Dr. Kiran Bedi. Madam was kind enough to collect all her experiences, whatever she gathered when she was Lieutenant Governor of this Puducherry. So it is, to my understanding, it is a very rare piece of work because all of you know if anybody wants to know the history of Pondicherry, generally we refer to the diary of Ananda Rangapillai. So now when he was writing the diary, so it may not be the rare piece, because everyone says that it is only a daily routine. But now, if you want to take anybody the history of Puducherry, the first piece they collect is the diary of Ananda Rangapillai, which is very useful to understand the history of Puducherry. So during the French ruling at Puducherry, so definitely this book, this is my perception. This book will be also very useful in future to understand the history of Puducherry, as there are very little books are coming out on the history of Puducherry. So thank you, madam, for this work. It is really very useful to history of Puducherry, and especially when it comes from the LG of Puducherry, then definitely you will understand, people will see also with great admiration and great interest. So it is very useful for all the stakeholders of Puducherry. So to thank madam at this occasion, let us all give a big round of applause to madam. Thank you, madam. At this, everybody knows what is really going on around Puducherry, LG office and the Chief Minister office. But just think about after 100 years or 200 years, this will be very useful during that time. That's why I feel this is very useful, very rare piece. So to reach this precious piece of work, work to French speaking audience, Professor Pondicherry has kindly agreed to translate this book into French. So Professor Pondicherry is our former head of our French department. I also thank Professor Pondicherry for translating it. Also within very short span of time I came to know that, so he has done it. And also I thank Dr. Swami from NDTV. So he made it. Without his initiative, it has not been possible. So I also take this opportunity to thank all the LG office staff who has helped to come out with this translated books. So friends, the fearless governance is very important topic for most of you here are from management, so which needs to be taught to our youngsters. So due to this, I discussed with management departments. As you know, we have many management departments. So I discussed with them. So I also requested that why don't we teach this also in the class when we discuss about the fearless governance. You can also refer this book, some of the book. You can the content is live example for the students. So I told them, they also agreed. Soon this book will be used to teach the fearless governance to management studies. They agreed to include in their syllabus. So you will all be surprised to see this book will be in the syllabus. So we have already procured some of the books for our library. You can visit, you can refer this book. So both the French translated book as well as the English version of the book. So thank you, madam, again for your contribution to the student community. So it will be very useful for the student community to understand. So what are the problems you face when you really do a good intentional governance? What are the problems you face? How you have to be when you introduce the governance without any fear? So this is a live example madam has given, also put it into the book. So this will be very useful, especially when you go for anti-corruption or when you go against some of the people who are already doing the organized something. So you can also take this example, how to fight it out, to bring the justice to the governance. Okay, friends, let me also start this welcome, the formal welcome. We are all assembled here to release the French version of the book titled Fearless Governance. So, let me welcome all the dignitaries. First of all, I welcome Dr. Kiran Bedi, former LG of Puducherry and author of the book Fearless Governance. Thank you, madam, for agreeing to be part of this book releasing function. Next, I welcome Mr. Etienne Roland Peur, Consul General of France in Puducherry and Chennai. Thank you, sir, for attending this function in spite of your busy schedule. I also welcome Professor Clement S. Lourdes, Director, Culture and Cultural Relations, Pondicherry University, Professor Rajneesh Bhutani, Registrar, Pondicherry University, for this function. I welcome Dr. Sandhya Cherian, correspondent of the study school. Shri Devanidhi Das, IAS retired and former secretary of former LG of Puducherry. I welcome Professor S. Panneerselvam, former head, Department of French, Pondicherry University. I also welcome the Dr. Bhushan Sudhagar, Professor of Department of International Business, Dr. Sharmila, Head of the Department of French, so we could easily understand French students are more. I also welcome all the deans, HODs, all the faculty members and non-teaching staff of this university. I welcome all the students present here. You have to clap yourself. I hope you are all eagerly waiting to interact with our Honorable Madam. So I don't want to take much of your time. I welcome one and all present here for this book releasing function. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for formally welcoming all the dignitaries, guests, special guests, students here, and also for emphasizing the importance of the work Fearless Governance coming from Dr. Kiran Bedi. You rightly mentioned that it is a work that will also put Pondicherry on the world map, and also we would like to thank you for taking the initiative of introducing it within the curriculum here. Thank you. Please allow us some moments to formally honor the dignitaries present here with us today. now the most awaited moment of the event as we announce the book launch of Une Gouvernance sans Peur, translation in French of Dr. Kiran Bedi's book entitled Fearless Governance. The translation is written by Professor S. Paneerselvam, and this is indeed a proud moment for us here at the Department of French, as Professor Paneerselvam retired as head of the department and had contributed enormously in the growth of the department. Now, I would request Dr. Kiran Bedi to release the book and give a copy to our Vice Chancellor and the Consul General. Thank you so much, ma'am. At this juncture, I would like to make a special mention to express our gratitude to Diamond Books, the publisher of this work, Mr. Rajagopal Palanisamy and Shivani Arora, freelance media professionals who were instrumental in getting the translation published at such a short notice. Thank you so much. I would now like to request Mr. Etienne Roland-Pierre, Consul General of France at Pondicherry and Chennai, to deliver the keynote address. He is somebody who received a PhD in management in 1996 from the business school, the renowned business school of the world, INSEAD, and held many important positions in the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs before becoming a counselor for cooperation and culture of the Embassy of France in Vietnam, where he served from 2017 to 21. He was also the head of the mission of international adoption with the External Affairs Ministry of France. We are very happy, sir, to welcome you here amidst us and look forward to your keynote address.
Bonjour. Je m'appelle Étienne. Et vous? Comment ça va? Moi aussi, ça va. So today, I will speak in English about this book, Fearless Governance, Une Gouvernance sans Peur in French. This book and its author, Madame Kiran Bedi, taught me a lesson, and I want to speak about it. This year, the Nobel Prize in Economics was awarded to three Americans, Darren Acemoglu, Simeon Johnson, and James Robinson, for their work on institutions and governance. They studied how nations could implement good governance, or for why some nations were in the throes of bad governance. They published a book around the year 2000 titled Why Nations Fail. I won't explain the theory, it's all economics, but I encourage you to read the book. So when I was a student in economics, and I read the articles of these three economists. Later on, I went to work at the World Bank in Washington, D.C., and there was a lot of work on the issue of governance. The World Bank had designed a set of indicators capturing the key dimensions of governance: voice and accountability, political stability and lack of violence, governance effectiveness, regulatory quality, rule of law, and control of corruptions. So for each of these dimensions of governance, economists designed a set of about 40 indicators and measured it across about 200 countries. So this is the standard approach for economists. You take a topic, you measure it, you compare it across different situations, and you try to draw lessons out of it. It's a good approach. I mean, it's scientific. But there is a danger to it. The danger is to think that only numbers matter and that people don't matter. For some people, people don't make history. And here I will quote an excerpt from Karl Marx, who said that people don't make history, or rather he said that people make history but not on their own volition. And I quote, "They do not make it under circumstances chosen by themselves, but under circumstances directly encountered, given and transmitted from the past. The tradition of all the dead generations weighs like a nightmare on the brain of the living." So here you have a vision of humanity like a group of zombies, with the past weighing on their shoulders, with no capacity whatsoever to influence history. And the danger with this vision is for people to lose hope and to resign themselves to their own fate. The danger for leaders is to relinquish their obligations of duty and to be like rubber stamps, approving decisions, thinking that they are only part of a flow of impersonal forces, and in the end, that they don't matter. So that's the danger with the approach of economists, which I can sum up as governing by numbers. I mean, there are good things in governing by numbers. You need numbers to assess a situation. But the danger is to lose sight of the people who make history. And this is the lesson that Madame Kiran Bedi taught me in her book. She didn't only manage by number. She managed by bicycle. Riding around the city, meeting with people, understanding their concerns, and taking action. She managed by open house policy. She opened the Raj Nivas to every citizen of Pondicherry so that they can come and see her or see other officials and talk about their grievances and complaints. She managed by open weekend tours where she would go to the villages and look at the situation of the lakes polluted or tainted by people, of all the roads which were not properly managed, of the schools and universities where, again, I'm not talking about Puducherry or University, of course, but other schools where the principals did not manage properly. She managed by seeing this situation, by hearing to people, and by listening and taking action. And this is an important lesson. When you are in a position of leadership, you're not only part of the course of history, you not only go with the flow, you have to take action. You have to take leadership. And it's also a lesson for ordinary people. I mean, you too can make history. You can change the course of history by making your voice heard, by speaking out, and also by taking action at the grassroots level. This is, in my mind, what represents fearless governance. So remember the word in French, une gouvernance sans peur. Sans peur. Thank you.
I would now like to invite another great orator whose skills have been admired and appreciated by us across the departments here in Pondicherry University, Professor Clement S. Lourdes, the Director of Culture and Cultural Relations, to deliver the felicitation note. Over to you, sir.
Dr. Kiran Bedi, former Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, Professor K. Taranikarasu, Vice Chancellor of Pondicherry University, Mr. Etienne Roland, Consul General of France in Puducherry and Chennai, Professor Rajneesh Putani, Registrar of Pondicherry University, Dr. Mrs. Cherian, Sri Devanidhi Das, IAS retired, Professor Panir Selvam, former Dean, School of Humanities, invited guests all over, research scholars, students and friends. I am very happy to be here on this occasion to speak something about Dr. Kiran Bedi, because I consider myself to be the right person for the task. Since I worked with her for nearly 9 months as a reporter, I have to go with her in cycle only. That has been already accepted by our Consul General, in and around Pondicherry, to the villages, suburbs, and write a report about that. It is really a very beautiful experience to me. She may be Lieutenant Governor to all, but I consider that she was my teacher all those days. Leaving this aside, I am going to take you back to the Republic Day parade in the year 1975. The parade is moving along, and Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was witnessing it. And the lead commander, a very young girl, she is leading the entire team, and Mrs. Indira Gandhi was so fascinated by her commands that she immediately called her secretary and said, "Who is this young girl who is leading the team?" And when the secretary told everything about her, tomorrow she has to dine with me for the breakfast in my house. And this young girl at that time is now sitting before us as our Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, the most trusted woman of India, and I used to call her as the Lionesses of Rajnivas. More than that, the books that he has written, more than 10 English books, those are my bedside companions, and I always used to tell her that I gained a lot through the reading of those books. Of these 10 books, 8 books I purchased from the market, 1 book was gifted to me by her, and 1 book, a very rare book, Broom and Groom. This was actually stolen by me from Rajnivas. Let me make a very honest confession. She is the police cop. I have done a crime, and now I confess it, and I deserve any punishment she likes. Because when Boswell was writing The Wonderful Life of Dr. Johnson, that is supposed to be the greatest of all the biographies, Dr. Johnson did not give his life history so easily. It's all in bits and papers, books and manuscripts, letters, etc. And when Boswell went on asking him for a diary, he will not give it. Let us think about that on some other day. And Boswell one day stolen it from Dr. Johnson and later confessed his crime. But Dr. Johnson only said, "Sir, you cannot help it. What you did is right. That's all you can do." Because wonderful books, they are all. But more than that, the weekend trips, I will never forget. Because she always used to go in the cycle, and still I remember her favorite cycle, very small one, and red in color. If any other cycle comes, he will ask her ADC to go for her cycle. And that has become her favorite. But we used to follow her in car. That was something unfair. And unwittingly, I told her one day, "Madam, I would like to follow in a cycle." "Do you mean it?" "Yes, madam." Unwittingly, I said. Then the speed in which she was riding the cycle nearly puffed me off. From Villanur to Pondicherry, it will take only 40 minutes for her to reach. For me, it will take more than 1 hour. So, when she reaches Rajanivas in a very, very fair condition, I will be following her profusely, sweating, and after half an hour or so. And more than that, for 2 or 3 days, I will never get up from bed. I will be under painkillers because of the pain in the thigh. Nobody can compete with her, even in a car or in a motorbike. And what she will do, whenever she gets an opportunity of stopping her cycle and instructing something to the people, she will do that. I can tell you 2 incidents which are very green in my mind. Once she was going around Boulevard and we are just following her, 4 of us, again in cycle only. There was a milk booth, and the man who managed the milk booth, he kept that booth in a very shabby condition. And there is a dustbin overflowing with the disposable cups. He took exception to that and immediately started quarreling with that fellow. But she knows only Tamil, and she has taken us to be upstarts. I hope that you know what you mean by upstarts. Quarrelsome people. Then he started giving some excuses. Why should I bother about it? It is the municipality that should bother about all these things. Call the municipality and whatever, without knowing who she is. Then I tried to pacify the situation, but madam told categorically, "Next time when I come here, if the condition remains the same, I will take action against you," and left the place. My cycle was parked very near to him, and I was about to take my cycle. He said, "Sir, enna idu periya governor mari pesranga andha amma." She behaves like a governor. I said, "My good fellow, she is the governor of Pondicherry." That's all. After that, I could hear the door shutting down, and the man is bolting away. After that, I have never seen him at all. He never spoke even one word after that. He disappeared from the scene. The next thing that has attracted me, we used to go to many offices also, and the people who come late will be immediately taken for, task. And one day we went there, and the head of the office was there, and when she visited, because she is very particular to see how people are seated, not only how things are going on, but the mannerism, character, the way in which you speak, everything is something very demanding to her. Then, when she saw the chair with which he is seated, she was very much shocked, and I too was surprised, because out of the 4, only 3 legs are there, and one leg is getting balanced with a stone. And what is this chair? Madam, I wrote several letters, but the people have not rectified it so far. How much salary you are getting? 80,000 rupees. 80,000 rupees per month. how much time and how much money it will take for you to repair that one leg. 80 rupees, madam. Can't you spend 80 rupees for our government? When you are getting 80,000 rupees, why don't you spend at least 80 rupees and repair it? Why are you waiting for the government's order? Why should we go through the bureaucratic ways? And immediately he understood the lesson. And after several months we went there, and the fellow was seated in a highly cushioned chair. I think he must have bought it. And that is why I am telling you that this is the way to correct the society, by going with the people, by turning the Rajanivas into a people's Nivas. And people can go at any time. This is not the place where Raja or Rani is seated anymore. And there is no pre-tapism. Anybody, even an ordinary laborer, can get inside Rajanivas and give a representation. And this representation, if it is possible for her to rectify, she will immediately give orders for that. Only when it goes beyond her limit and that cannot be done, then she may ask that person to wait until she meets the concerned people. So, her experiences in Rajanivas for nearly 5 years, she has put it into a book, Fearless Governance. And don't think that this is an ordinary book. This is born out of her experience. This tells you how to govern properly. This tells you how to administer properly and how transformations are possible and what are the challenges on the way and how these challenges can be met with and overcome. And all these things you can do it. And since there are students sitting here, I will tell you one thing. Sir, this is all about governance, administration and all that. In what way that this is going to help us? My dear friend, I am the one who has read the book from cover to cover. Let me tell you, if you finish reading the book, at least 40% of your problem that would come out of your UPC examination will be solved. And out of 10 questions, 4 questions at least you will answer from this book. It is a guidebook for you. And not only that, the matters that she has been put forth that can be easily implemented. You may ask me, sir, she is talking about Rajanivas and big governance and all that. No. As I told you, her way is to make life easy for the people. And that is why she had this kind of, program where people can easily meet her 2 hours a day. The same can be put forth in a school or even in a college. If the college principal, instead of sitting there in his air-conditioned chamber and not allowing the people to come over there, can take a cue from this book and then ask the people to come to him or her, and then they can have an interaction with them. The problem will be easily solved. So several of these problems, don't think that this is not something within your orbit. You can bring it within your orbit provided you have that brain. Therefore, I think that if you see the last page, a comment given by Indra Noel. Fearless governance is a blueprint for good and effective governance. A very, very powerful author, a severe critic. That comment is something that is very, very fascinating. And this one comment will tell you how important is the book and how much she has worked for it. Because you can't simply get all the experiences of an influential and a widely known person like Dr. Kiran Bedi within a short time of reading a book, let me say 3 to 4 hours. And more than that, when I was thinking of summarizing her character, the task was made easy because she herself in the last page has summarized it. I grew up breaking barriers. I did not follow the crowd. My Indian police service provided me with opportunities to innovate. I stood my ground fearlessly when I believed I was doing the right thing for the right reason and the right cause. This summarizes her entire life. And if I want to praise her, I can only go back to Shakespeare when he tried to praise Julius Caesar. Shakespeare said that nature itself will stand up and tell to the world, this was the man. This was the man. Had Shakespeare been living with us, had Shakespeare met our madam, Shakespeare might have said, nature will stand up and tell the world, here is a woman. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful address. Sir never disappoints the literary scholars like us. He always ends his lectures with some kind of literary reference, mostly to Shakespeare. And I would add to what he said, Shakespeare would say that nature should rise in front of a bicycle woman and a lioness. And I myself have been, I approached her once, she might have forgotten it, with a minor issue. I was impressed to see that she always takes her meetings standing up. She never sits for a meeting. That really impressed me, and we approached her with an issue of urination in our locality, Kamachi Amankoil Street, and she immediately took an action. She immediately sent the officers. In fact, the next day she visited the area herself. Thank you so much for that. And that also says volumes on the proactive approach that she has towards resolution of issues. I would now like to invite Dr. Sandhya Cherian, who is the VP of Frontier Lifeline Hospital in Chennai and KM Cherian Heart Foundation, and who is also the correspondent of study school here in Pondicherry. She is also someone who is a very strong advocate of women issues, particularly women education, and has been motivating the young girls in rural areas of Tamil Nadu, particularly Ilavur. She has also been working with the fishing community, the women of the fishing community in Kalapet. We are very happy to have you here and look forward to listening.
Respected Dr. Kiran Bedi, the former governor of Puducherry, Professor Tarnikarasu, the Vice Chancellor of Pondicherry University, Mr. Pieg, the French Council, the Director for Culture and Cultural Relations, Professor Clement, Sri Nithidas, the former Secretary to LG of Puducherry, Mr. Paneer Selvam, the former HOD of the French Department, Professor Rajneesh, the distinguished guests of the dais, faculty, and my dear students, a very good afternoon to all of you. I want to first thank Madam Kiran Bedi and the Vice Chancellor for giving me this opportunity to interact with all of you. Growing up as a child, I've always noticed that there was always some element of gender bias, some sort of preferential treatment for boys. And though we talk about gender equality at this present moment, I think there is some bias that still exists even today. In an era like that of 1970s, I've always wondered what kind of challenges that Dr. Kiran Bedi must have faced being the first woman IPS officer of India in a male-dominated profession. She was only 23 then. I'm sure there are a lot of instances when there was a lot of resistance and skepticism, but she was fearless. she was not discouraged by resistance and the bias she encountered on her way. I read about her during my school days and was always a huge admirer of hers. I admired her for her grit and her determination. Little did I know then that I would be blessed with the opportunity to meet her at our school, the Study L'École International, when she was the governor of Puducherry. I got to know her on a more personal level a few months ago when I was organizing the National Leadership Conference for the Association of Healthcare Providers of India in Chennai. I was given a free hand to choose the chief guest, the key speakers, and the entire responsibility of organizing this conference. I wanted my chief guest to be a lady, a leader, someone who walks the talk. The first person who came to my mind was Madam Kiran Bedi, without a doubt. When I talked to Madam about the event at the end of July, she had initially agreed, and I was so thrilled about it, and I had communicated this good news to all the other office bearers, and they were all equally very happy. But around 2 weeks before the event, I received a call from her office stating that Madam will not be able to make it and she was cancelling. I was very, very disappointed, and I tried to call, I tried to email, I tried to convince her office a few times, but it was a no. But I wasn't ready to give that up. So I called Madam straight one afternoon and I spoke to her. I told her that she was the chief guest and there was no one else to take her place. She told me that she had this event here in Puducherry on the 27th of September, but my program was on the 29th of September and she had nothing to do on the 28th. And so she did not want to waste one full day. And so she said that was the reason for her cancelling my program. I tried telling her, saying that I have booked this nice suite at the Hilton in Chennai where I was organizing my conference, and that she could take some good rest there on the 28th and attend my event on the 29th and head back to Delhi. But to my surprise, she said, "Sandhya, I don't care about where I stay. What is important is that I am productive and I don't waste my 28th. So this speaks volumes about her time management skills and her passion, her energy to do work. She doesn't want to take rest. So the only way to ensure that she was now my chief guest was to try and organize something quickly on the 28th. So I talked to my dad, I talked to Mrs. Uma, the administrative director at the school, and we quickly put forward like a new plan, a new event, a small event, where she was to come and talk to our students, motivate them with her talk, and give away some of the awards to our meritorious students. In the meantime, Mr. Swami of NDTV surprised her with this news that her book, Fearless Governance, had been translated into French by his friend, Professor Paneerselvam. So 28th of September now became a very productive day after all, where we had the privilege to launch Madam's book for the first time in India at our school with our very own Vice Chancellor of Pondicherry University, Professor Tarnikar's releasing the first copy, and the first book again being received by our French consul, Mr. Peur. This book, Fearless Governance, illustrates how she spearheaded the operations of her team, bringing her vision and plans to fruition. It epitomizes the fearless grit and determination which would serve as a compass not only for the young but for the old alike, to stick onto principles and deliver outcomes, be it small or large, be it a private, public, or a government service. Madam's book in French is empowering the people to understand the nuances in management and governance in Puducherry, which is why we have the students of the management and the French stream gathered here today. I was thoroughly impressed by all what Professor Clement had said. I'm sure, her opening up the Raj Nivas to all the common people like us definitely had such an impact on the government, not only of the government of Puducherry, but the people of Puducherry. And so thank you, ma'am. That was just so innovative of you to have done that. Let me end by quoting Ruth Gordon, who said, "Courage is like a muscle. We strengthen it only by using it." Courageous women are strong and confident leaders. They understand the power of leading with integrity and courage. They demonstrate it in their actions. They inspire others to do the same. They face obstacles boldly, but they do not give up. They fiercely guard their values and their belief systems. Dr. Kiran Bedi is a true embodiment of this. She is fearless, coupled with wisdom and generosity, which has resulted in 2 foundations that she has set up. The India Vision Foundation, that we are so proud to be associated with, and the Navjyoti Foundation, both of which are doing such good work for the deserving, vulnerable society of India. There is a lot that we all can imbibe and learn from Madam Kiran Bedi. My best wishes for the book, and I encourage each and every one of you to read this book. Thank you once again for this wonderful opportunity for interacting with you all. Thank you.
I would now like to invite Shri Devaniti Das, retired IS officer and former secretary to former LG of Puducherry. We welcome you here and look forward to listening to you.
Respected and beloved Dr. Kiran Bedi Madam, we are all eagerly waiting for your speech. So I won't take much of your others' time because I know the patience of students is very limited. Even in the class, it's very difficult to cope up. I was a teacher long back. I taught in the college. So I don't want to take much of your time. We had erudite speakers before me. They all covered beautifully about what Madam did during her tenure in 5 years. So basically, she talks about the fearless governance. Fearless governance. Fear is just opposite to faith. A person with a fear won't have the faith. If a person is having a faith, he won't have fear. So if you have a faith of what you want to do or what you believe, then go ahead and do it. Come what may, whatever may be the objections, whatever may be the hurdles, just go ahead and do it. But if you don't have the, if you have the fear, then you can't do anything. So this book speaks about how a fearless person, whosoever, can achieve in the administration. So this may be applicable not only to government setup, it's applicable to an industry, it's applicable to educational institutions and all the places, rest of the places. I remember when Madam assumed office as Lieutenant Governor, we were discussing about the powers and functions of Lieutenant Governor. I won't take much of your time. Briefly, I will tell you, because on many occasions people do ask me, there are so many Lieutenant Governors who came to Pondicherry and served. And why Dr. Kiran Bedi always goes out? And why she is so active? This is a question many people ask. Maybe a governor or a lieutenant governor. Why? That's the question. Briefly, I can tell you, so far as Pondicherry is concerned, is a special place. It's a creation of parliament. Unlike states, the states and union are covered by the constitution. But the union territory, the name itself say, it's a territory of union. It's a territory of union. So for union territories, the constitution does not give an elaborate arrangement how the union territory has to be governed. The constitution entrusted the job of detailing the governance to the parliament. Parliament is, the wish and will of the whole 135 crore people. So the parliament, in their wisdom, they passed a law in the year 1963 called Government of Union Territories Act. Under that act, Lieutenant Governor is the representative of the President or the representative of the central government. And this territory is being administered both by the elected government of Union Territory and also by the central government through the office of Lieutenant Governor. So we can't, wish away with the office of Lieutenant Governor. It is completely different from a state. In a state, the elected government has the final word in most of the matters, except certain discretionary powers vested with the governor. In rest of the matters, the elected government will have the ultimate say in the matter. But here in Pondicherry, the parliament in their own wisdom, the parliament is the representative of all the people of India. So the Indian people, they decided the union territory has to be governed by the elected government and also by the central government, adding to the state government, the union territory government. Also the central government has to have a say in the matter through the administrator. So this is a position of law, and the Lieutenant Governor has powers in all financial matters, in service matters, and everything is there. So I am not going to detail about the legal issues. Legal issues have been settled. In fact, during the period of Madam 5 years period, she settled so many unsettled things. And one of the unsettled thing is about powers of elected government and the Lieutenant Governor. Of course, she didn't go to court, but she ensured that it's all properly settled. And finally, Supreme Court and High Courts put a absolute settled the matters. So there is no confusion now. People have to work together. Both the appointed authority, Lieutenant Governor, and the elected authority, namely the Council of Ministers, have to work together in tandem. It is not that one is having a higher pedestal, other is having a lower pedestal. No, they are all equal. They have to work together. This is ultimately, it's for the benefit of the people. It's for the governance of the beautiful Union Territory of Pondicherry. Now, when I asked the question, Madam, why you are so active? She said it's up to the person. So many persons have come earlier as Lieutenant Governor, so I am not demeaning their offices, but I am just telling, it's up to the individual to take a call. Do you want to enjoy the office of Lieutenant Governor and sit in Rajanivas in a golden cage, or do you want to go out and meet the people, talk to them, sort out the grievances, work with the government, get the issues resolved? So the call has to be taken by the individual. This is what Madam told me. Remember, she said, Neeti, it is an individual's call. I am taking a call. I want to go and resolve the issues. And so she was absolutely fearless, and she comprehended the experience of 5 years and brought out a beautiful book. And I am grateful, Professor Tanikaraj, our respected Vice Chancellor, said this became a reading material for the management students. I am very happy. So people will definitely be will be benefited by this. And the Consul General, Mr. Beer, Dr. Beer, has beautifully summed up how she administered this place. Walk by talk. So she walked and talked to the people and by bicycle and got it done. And I'm thank you for giving a good speech about what Madam has done here. And Professor Clement, I remember his notes. So after Madam visits, usually on Saturday, Madam goes a weekend, and we in the office, we sit there and prepare the minutes of where she went and what are the points she wanted to convey to the government, to the offices. And the next day or before that, Professor Clement also will send his notes. So we used to compare whether we have missed anything or something like that. So he also worked with us thick and thin for 5 years. So I am grateful to Professor Clement. And Professor Paneerselvam, I had worked with him the long back when I was working in Andaman Nicobar Islands. We started law college and medical college there, and at that time he was registrar of Pondicherry University. He helped me in getting the affiliations. So I still remember that. So I have to thank him for those good things he has done. I thank Dr. Sandhya Cherian for making it possible. She coordinated, talked to people and get the beautiful function arranged here. So I have to thank Dr. Cherian also. Professor Rajnesh Bhutani, I also thank the registrar of Pondicherry University for making it possible. Well friends, I want to make one request on this occasion to Honorable Lieutenant Governor Madam, Dr. Kiran Bedi Madam. She has written many books. I also request her to make a book on the good things what she is now presently doing through her trust. There are 2 trusts. She is very silent. Many people do not know what she is doing in the trust. But it's very amazing. She is changing the lives of so many underprivileged people. Those members of the family members, unfortunately, whose head of the family is put in the prison. The prisoner's family, she is taking care of them, providing them the education, providing the opportunity to get a job. So she is doing great work in the trust. So, Madam, I request you on this occasion, please bring out a good book of what you are doing through the trust. So, with these few words, I felicitate all the organizers, the professors, head of departments, deans, students, faculty, and more so Dr. Tanika Raju, the Vice Chancellor, who has made it possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your felicitation note. I would also like to place on record the fact that Mr. Devaniti Das has been called one of the best civil servants of Pondicherry at various instances by Dr. Kiran Bedi. We in the Department of Foreign Languages are fully aware of the challenges one faces as one tries to translate texts from one language and culture into another language and another cultural worldview, and fully understand the dynamic role that a translator has to play in the choice of words and certain other choices. I would now like to invite our senior colleague, Professor S. Paneerselvam, former head, Department of French, former dean, and also former registrar of Pondicherry University, to deliver a talk on his translation of the book.
Professor Tanika Raju, Vice Chancellor, Pondicherry University, Honorable former Lieutenant Governor of Pondicherry, Dr. Kiran Bedi, Madam, Monsieur Etienne Roland Pierre, Consul Général de France à Pondicherry, Professor Clement Lourdes, Director of Culture and Cultural Relations, Pondicherry University, Professor Rajnesh Bhutani, Registrar of Pondicherry University, Sri Devaniti Das, IAS, former Secretary to former Lieutenant Governor, Dr. Sandhya Cherian, Correspondent, the Study L'École Internationale, my dear colleagues from various departments of Pondicherry University, distinguished guests, my dear students. I deem it a privilege to participate in this book launching function. In fact, the same book was released 1 month back by the publisher, but at that time I could not participate in it as I was abroad. This function is mainly organized in Pondicherry University in order to create an awareness among the students about the importance of translation. The students, mainly from the French department, study the methods of translations in their MA Translation and Interpretation program. They will be very much benefited by these types of translation launching functions. It is to be noted that both the author of the book and the translator of the book, they are present here. As the translator of the book, I would like to place before you some of my thoughts and feelings. First, I would like to thank Madam Kiran Bedi ji former Honorable Lieutenant Governor of Pondicherry, for having given me this opportunity to translate the book. To tell you frankly, I am meeting her for the first time today. So far I heard only her voices, and even that only some 2 months back. The work was entrusted to me through Professor Swami, journalist Swami, and at the time he told that Madam asked you to translate, and I thanked immediately Mr. Swami for having introduced me to Madam. When the opportunity was given to me, I grasped immediately for 2 reasons. Number one, when we read a literary work, in order to translate it, it is not going to be the so-called ordinary reading. The translator reads it with a view not only to understand the book, but also to get the vouloir dire of the author. The translation students will understand what I mean by vouloir dire. It englobes the denotation, connotation, and so on, with which the author wants to put in the book. The second reason for taking up this translation work is to pay tribute to a Lieutenant Governor who has devoted her whole tenure here in Puducherry for the upliftment of Pondicherry and its people. As I am a live witness of all she did during her tenure as Lieutenant Governor, there was no problem in grasping the main lines of the book. Through her impeccable administration, morning cycle rounds, open house in Rajanivas, friendly chat with Swachhata workers and whatnot, she has made it clear to everyone that she has taken over charge as Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry only for the welfare of Puducherry and its people. She wanted to make it prosperous. Her style of narrating the facts is an amazing one, very simple and lucid language, very effective use of data, a remarkable talent of documentation and preservation of data and statistics. These things make her book interesting, useful, and unique. The reading is pleasant and the flow of thought is exemplary. I have tried my level best to re-express the message of Dr. Kiran Bedi in French language. As far as I know, Madam has left a tremendous impact on the people, especially with the common people of Pondicherry. However, some of the terminologies she uses pose some problem and may likely be stumbling blocks for the Francophone readers. They are SWOT, strategy, T mantra, think tank, etc. But I am sure they will understand them easily if they concentrate on the matter expressed under this term. I thank the Vice Chancellor of Puducherry University, Professor Tarni Caruso, for having permitted the Departments of Management and French to organize this function here. I thank Monsieur Etienne Roland-Pierre, Consul General of France at Pondicherry, whose presence will motivate us to translate more and more works into French. I should not forget Sri Swami of NDTV, who recommended my name to Madam for the French translation work. I shall be ever grateful to you, sir. I hope our collaboration will continue and we will take up more such endeavors. Next, I should place on record the coordinating efforts made by Madam's office in charge, Ms. Shivani Arora. I thank the Diamond Publications of Delhi, comprising of Sri Narendra Kumar Verma, Sri Abhishek and others, for the commendable work done in bringing out successfully the French translation. I thank also Dr. Sandhya Cherian, correspondent, the study L'École Internationale, for having accepted to hold this book release function in her school for the first time. I thank the head of the Department of Management and the head of the Department of French and all the faculty members of these departments and the students for their support. If the French translation of Madam's book, Une Gouvernance sans Peur, is well received by Francophone readers, I shall be satisfied that I have done a useful task. Thank you. One small thing to the French students of the Department of French. Since you have before you both the original and translation, I assure you, I will come to the department and we will have 2 or 3 workshops on translation using Madam's book in English and French. And with the permission of the Vice Chancellor and with the permission of the HOD, I will come to the department and we will have interactive sessions on translation, how we have to translate, and if you got any doubts on some translation I have done, you can ask and then we will clarify everything. Thank you very much.
The International Council for Cultural Relations and Research would like to present a souvenir to Professor S. Pannirselvam for the incredible work of translation that he has done. I would request Dr. Kiran Bedi to do the honors, and we would also like to call Mrs. Pannirselvam on the stage, please. International Council for Cultural Relations and Research would now like to honor the head of French Department, Dr. Sharmila Charra. I would now like to invite Dr. Kiran Bedi to talk on her book Fearless Governance and also interact with our students to motivate them to face different kinds of challenges. And we all know that the epithet fearless suits you well. Ma'am, you are a legendary figure who has many firsts to her name, the first police officer and the former tennis player as well. Over to you.
Thanks, Ritu. Friends, it's a watershed day, a memorable day. This goes down in memory. I want this day to be remembered. If I would be asked, which day would you like to be remembered the most? This is one of those. I want to thank you so much for sparing your time, both you and the VIPs on the side who've come all the way for making this event. Most of all, gratitude to your Vice Chancellor, a very unique man who worked in Delhi and came here to serve. But without his kind of vision, courage, conviction, belief, respect, regards and warmth, this would not have happened. He could have found a way to wriggle out. When we met at Dr. Sandhya's school, when we said, this belongs to Pondicherry. It's done by a professor for Pondicherry. It's about Pondicherry. It's about history of Pondicherry. He could have wriggled out to say, ma'am, it's not been possible somehow, but he stuck to it. And I would therefore say the credit for this, of course, initiation goes to Dr. Sandhya, but he is the one who's made it possible. So I want to thank him personally, immensely, for a unique leadership he has shown. We all made it possible because he made it happen. So thank you all, boys and girls, young men and women. I also want to thank some very recognizable faces I'm having. I'm having Dr. Ram Kumar, I've got Vidya, I've got Sham. They were all volunteers. I've got Chandar, I've got Balagandhi. How wonderful, I'm recognizing these faces. They found time to come and be here at this event. Let me tell you about this book, what has not been said. You've been told a lot about the way it's been read and the way it's been absorbed both by our keynote speaker and Niti Das and others and Professor Clement and others. I'll tell you, the making of this book. You want to know this? Okay, sit up straight and relax. And give me a little more attention. That's the fun part of this book. Because you've got to know, you've heard, you've seen, you get to read the book. But I'll now tell you of the making of the book. What happened? When did this book start getting made? When I took charge, when I was given this appointment to go and work in Pondicherry by nobody other than the Honorable Prime Minister himself, he gave me only 7 to 8 days to join. I wanted more. He said, no. Go join right away. So I managed, I had many invitations also pending, even sometimes overseas speaking engagements. He said, no, nothing. Go join. So I came, but he gave me only 7-8 days. I knew about Pondicherry, that is a very beautiful place, but I did not know what was going on there from governance point of view. Now, as a stranger, straight away taking charge as the Lieutenant Governor, I have to start delivering from day one. I cannot say I need time. I need an induction time, a probation time. I have to start delivering straight away. And whatever I do from day one will get noticed, will make the impact. So, from day one, when Prime Minister said, next day, who do I call to my home? The Resident Commissioner of Pondicherry. I still have 10 days to go, to pack and go. I called Resident Commissioner there, Pondicherry. I said, come and tell me all about Pondicherry. Who was the then? Could you remember his name? I remember his name. K.K. Singh. K.K. Singh. He was a civil service officer, a very fine officer. K.K. I said, KK, come and tell me what is Pondicherry, how is it being governed, what are its challenges, who are the outstanding people, what are the pending issues, tell me whatever you can. He came with the Act, the Union Territory Act of Puducherry, the Act. I started to read this Act even before taking charge. Please understand the message in this for you students. Get the message. You are here not only to know about me and my book. You are here to take away lessons from this life. And you are all students. So I am giving it to you from a student point of view so that you take home messages to become people you respect, like them, and learn from them. So what did I do? Did the Prime Minister tell me, Kiranji, I've given you 10 days, go start reading and learning? Did he tell me? Did he tell me to do my homework? On the contrary, he said, no, your examination begins from the day you take charge. Finished. And I know I'm on a test from day one. I am on a test from day one. When a leader assumes charge, he or she is on a lesson from day one. That's lesson one. So nobody told me. Why am I saying? It applies to students. You want to study for an exam last 1 month, last 3 months. You are on a test from day one from the class. You take a charge and you start reading the books. This is a habit I had acquired as a student when I used to be promoted to a next class, and there were 3 months holidays at that time. I had started to read my books 3 months in advance with the class I was going. It was 8th standard, I'd start to read as a 7th standard passing, to read the books in advance. So with the result, when I used to go to a school, I'd read my books. Teacher was only revising with me. This is a habit I want you to take away. So this is the beginning of the book I'm trying to tell you. These are messages which are very useful for you youths. So I started to read. K.K. Singh started to tell me, ma'am, this is the problem with the PWD, this is the department, the police, this is the department, this is the problem. He started to tell me, officers, this is real. He even started to tell me who are credible, reliable officers. That, ma'am, these are trustworthy officers. These are, you can trust. He was very, very careful in telling me. He was a little afraid to tell me the truth. But I said, KK, whatever you tell me will remain with me. Please guide me, tell me, inform me. Leave me to go and test. So friends, 1 week before, I somehow knew the challenges. I knew what was not happening where. What examination was not being held, what promotions were held up, what's happening with the police department, what's happening with the French. I was also informed what was happening with French Tamil Indians, how their land was being somehow occupied because they were senior, they would leave for Paris, and what was happening to their land. They were French citizens, but they were Italians. All this was alerted to me. It's not that I start to believe it. I got an idea what to look at. So before I opened up my house to Raj Nivas, as your Lieutenant Governor, I had been hinted that these are the problems hanging in Pondicherry. So after that, then it's interesting. The Chief Secretary of that time came to pick me up from the airport, which was normally never done. He on his own came, and whom I got transferred later, by the way. I got him out. He came to pick me up and it's written in the book. Now whatever I'm saying now is written in the book, so it's nothing added. This is not added. So he told me, now he started to brief me what's happening in Pondicherry. He quickly wanted to brief me, so that before I get briefed, he did not know I'd come briefed. He did not know I'd come trained. He'd come in a way alerted, informed. Now, many things he said and what had been said by KK were contradictory. And in the end of the drive, he said, ma'am, there's nothing much here. There's no much problem. This also very small, this also very small. It's resolvable. I start to wonder, why is he saying that there is no much problem? And why is he undermining something which is held up for so long? I let it be. I didn't form an impression about him, but I got to understand him. Third thing which I did before I took over was send him a phone number to say, please install a phone number called the anti-corruption line, a number so and so, open up to the people this number because I'd heard there's massive corruption issues here, on land issues, on gangster issues, on crime issues. So I said, give us this number. He said his impression even before my took over was immediately, which was like a test of an officer. He said, ma'am, a phone line already runs. Already is there. I said, which number? So and so. I said, okay, can you please open a new line, this number? He did not say yes. He was a little hesitant. Why open a new line and a new number? That too for anti-corruption. I sensed him. That was a sensing. I had started to sense what's happening around. Now I realized that with this bureaucrat, I'll have to get things done. I'll have to follow up the matters. But I had my way. I got a phone line installed and a particular phone number started on anti-corruption lines. Any anti-corruption online, anonymously, confidentially, not declared. Before I take charge as Lieutenant Governor, a line is known, a message is known, this number, you can complain about corruption or land grabbing or gangster crimes, wherever on this number, but your line will be confidential. It is not that it started to flow. It was a message. Message was, corruption will be now dealt with severely and it will not be tolerated. This is the beginning. Now when I take over, is in the book. You could read the book, what I did. But the first day, I made known, I remember, when I told my secretary, Niti Das, I said, Niti, on that day, I'm going to say something. I have a speech. And the whole team was of the Chief Secretary, Niti and others were of the view that the traditional view was, Lieutenant Governors take an oath and go for tea. They don't make a speech. And I said, no, Niti and Chief Secretary was his senior at that time. And They were of the view, the group view, no, ma'am, please don't say anything. Just take the oath, let me have a cup of tea, we meet people and go. I said, no, I have something to say. And there was a reason to say, friends. That's the making of the book. It is a connecting with the people day one. My preparation. Secondly, the phone line. And third is the speech. In that speech, I said, friends, I am giving you all a T mantra. T stands for trust. E stands for empowerment. And A stands for accountability. You can trust me. I like to trust you till you break the trust. I will empower you. You officers, use the empowerment bit, but you will be empowered. Third is, I means me and my team and the Lieutenant Governor's office will be fully accountable for whatever the decisions it takes, and that decision will rest with mine. So I gave the T mantra first time for the media. I knew that this is going to make news. Now remember, as a leader, and remember as you grow in your services, you are going to be judged from also day one what you say. Now, two things start to match. A telephone line and a T mantra. Trust, empowerment and accountability. Next day, it was not in the papers that LG takes an oath. Next day, trusting, empowering and accountability started to be in the headlines. That was a message to the people who were mixed, whether they were this side of the fence or that side. The message came from day one. Now, that was a challenge to those who would not fall in line. So friends, rest is history. We start to live up to the trust. All the practices which we did, you've talked about open house, professors talked about, Niti's talked about the power of the Lieutenant Governor. It's mentioned in the book, but I'll rub it a little. Do you know the first meeting Niti would remember I had with the law secretary? I said, Niti, before you call any secretaries for a meeting, or even the chief secretary, I want a meeting with the law secretary to understand what is my power, what's my responsibility, where does it begin and where does it stop, so that I don't cross the line. But I also do not overlook my responsibility which is in the law, because I'm afraid to stay on this position. I'm not here for a tenure. I'm here to give to the people of Pondicherry every day what they need, not what I need. So the law secretary came and explained to me, ma'am, this is your financial power, these are your service powers, these are your consolidated fund powers, these are your service matters, you are the one who has to approve the contract, this is why you have to put the policy, this is how you can approve or forward it to the government of India. He said it on, and in the end, when he was getting up, he said, ma'am, the buck stops at you. Buck stops at you. And I looked up at him and I said, my God, you mean to say I'm not a ceremonial governor here? I'm an executive head. Yes, you are. You're an administrator. You are responsible for how the money is being spent. You are responsible for which policy is done. You are responsible for where the contracting is done. You are responsible for where the appointments are done. And more. I called Sridhar, another secretary, wonderful, my personal secretary, very knowledgeable Sridhar, another very valuable asset here. He too, then we had Sridhar. I had a great team. Important thing, friends, I tell you one thing more. It's very important also in your lives. By the former governor who was there, I rang him up. I rang up General J.J. Singh, General A.K. Singh. And I said, General, what is it that you can tell me about Pondicherry? He said, Kiran, I've left a wonderful team. And he mentioned the names of Niti, Srinivas, Sridhar, and Asha Gupta, and all these. He said, I've left a team. Now it's up to you to choose to continue with this team or otherwise. I said, sure. So he said, I've left a team. I did not know Niti Das. I did not know Sridhar. I did not know Srinivas. These are the three key people. Asha was the controller of Rajnivas. I did not know them. I did not know my ADC, any one of them. I began with them. And first thing I told them, I trust you all till you break my trust. I don't know you. But I trust you till you break my trust. Very important thing for a leader and you people, when you assume responsibilities, identify who is your team. Form your team and choose your team and watch your team. Keep them in your team as long as they continue to win the trust. And see, the most trusting secretary is sitting right here before you. Right now, Niti Das is sitting right here. The way he won my trust and the way he conducted the team, unmatchable, friends. In fact, I've made already a request to the Honorable Vice Chancellor to appoint Mr. Niti Das as Professor of Excellence in the School of Management here, so that they can work together. Because then he can explain to you all that cannot be explained through the book or here. And they can work with the professor with the French professor. French translating professors already volunteered to come back. So they can team up together also. And Niti can teach administration, management and law in this as professor. Honorary, because Niti is he's very self-sufficient man. He doesn't need money. He could do it on honorary basis, but as Professor of Excellence in the School of Management Studies. So that even after I'm gone, or we can't have these kind of clarifications, Niti Das could be part of this team and he could form his own team also. He can also form a little team to come and explain matters, how we did it. But it's important to have in the city not to lose valuable experience and expertise which is available, and not just let them be retiring. No, come and teach, come and share and come and talk. So friends, you will have Mr. Niti Das come in and explain to you all these matters after I'm gone and after I'm not here. You like the idea? Say yes or no? Yes. So Niti, do you accept it? I know he loves his own time, but do you accept it?
You're forcing me to accept it.
He says, just as I forced him to do many other things, he says, you're forcing me to accept it. Of course, when I know it's the right thing to do for everybody, I would force you. But I made a request to the Honorable Vice Chancellor. He said, that's a great idea, we would do it. So friends, rest is all in the book. If you read the book, what is it you will get? Look, you all have to work. Somewhere you work in the corporate sector, or you work with the government, or you work in the education sector. Anyway, you need all those qualities. You need all those ideas, how to go about things, and those ideas will actually take you forward. Read it in the book. Now I'll tell you the making. What happened? Do you know I've spared nobody in this book? Nobody's been spared. How? If somebody made a stupid cartoon on me, or made a very stupid statement on me, it's a part of the book. And nobody's taken me to the Madras High Court to say, you said it. Why? Because I had all these newspaper clippings with me. I had retained all the documentation of my 5 years. That's the making of the book. I have my own library. You are known as your library. Homes have bars, liquor bars. I had library. You must, in your own room, in your own way, have your own library of documentation. I had the documentation of every news clip. And who said what, if not denied, is standing by. So all my adversaries or whoever said what, I went back and underlined it. 5 years of newspaper clippings I read, underlined, and see which chapter do they fall in. So when I wrote that chapter, I brought them in. And then in that footnote, I quoted that newspaper. So newspaper got the credit, and the officer got, person or officer, or the individual, whoever they were part of the book. Nobody's challenged it. Why? Why? Why haven't they challenged it? Why? I ask you, why? Why? Open your mouth. Why? Because of word documentation. We maintained a library. Lieutenant Governor's office, that's where Professor Clement also came. We had a library, and that time I did not know how the book will shape. But I had it in my mind that so much good is happening. I owe it to the people of Puducherry, the children of Puducherry, the next generation of Puducherry, to remember what happened between 2016 to 2021. From 29th May till 16th of February, 29th May 2016 till 16th of February 2021. It's a history of administration where people and governance work together. Where systems were created, and all that was, as he said, Niti Das said, everything left settled. It's a fact. Many innovations of ours were legally challenged. Many innovations of ours were legally challenged. Many decisions were challenged by the vested interests. But what happened? They went to the High Court, and they went up even to the Supreme Court. So on one hand, we were every day working, day to day, open house, Raj Nivas festivals, weekend rounds. We were also on the side fighting back legally. And that's where our team worked. Srinivas, Sridhar, these people worked day and night, Niti Das' leadership, day and night to work. And that is why there's nothing unsettled. Everything settled legally. Every policy is settled. You cannot go back to this. One of the Honorable Supreme Court judge, do you know what she said? It's a part of the book. It's an amazing what she said. She said the powers of the Lieutenant Governor are even more than the Honorable President of India. And the governors. She said it. I'll show you the page. Let's see the page. It's worth it. I am unable to share it. It's so tough. But Justice Banerjee, who went on to become the Supreme Court judge, that time she was Supreme, she said the powers of the Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry are more than the President of India and the governors of the state. And I've quoted that quote of the judge. Imagine, when this is the situation, that office is so powerful to get things done, to serve the people. And if that is done properly, friends, there can be no corruption, there can be no land grabbing, there can be no gangster crime, there cannot be rowdyism, because policing also is reporting to him or her. But the only way is open up the system, have the grievance redressal system, etc. Okay, so this is where I'll tell you the page. It's a beautiful, I will show you the page before it ends, or I will mail it to you. But it's an amazing story of what the Madras High Court and finally the Supreme Court judges. That is why I was confident that as Lieutenant Governor, it's a very important position to serve the people to the maximum till the last day I'm here. And we did so, friends. We had in between issues, bureaucrats' problems. They tried to hide and seek, they tried to hijack issues, but we had to grapple with lots, because I told you I had to get my chief secretary removed, and I got another chief secretary appointed. That too is a chapter, how I got one out and I got the other in, because there were obstructions in the implementations of the. Now comes my departure time. Now I came with about 3-4 suitcases. There were 3-4 suitcases. All the gifts which I received as Lieutenant Governor, there's so many, they're full of cupboards. I distributed them all to all of them who deserved it most. All the shawls I got, distributed them to Swachhta Corporation. All the sanitary workers got Swachhta. All shawls went to them. And gifts, all the books I received, which is not mentioned in the book, all the wonderful books I received, all of them got an autographed book from me to all the colleagues saying these are your belonging to you. So the books, the shawls, the gifts, etc., and the artifacts, whichever was hanging good for the Raj Nivas was left there, I left with my 3-4 suitcases. But do you know what? I left with 40 boxes of documents. 40 boxes with 5 trucks. 5 trucks took the 40 boxes. That was my book. Had I not taken away those books, which I had maintaining them as a documentation library, thinking I owe a respect to the organization, to the Pondicherry. I owe it to you people, because people of Puducherry loved me, respected me, gave it me, worked with me. There were people who didn't, doesn't matter. But majority, silent majority, was wanting the change which we were delivering within the rules. And 40 trucks. One office in Delhi was specially created for me for this purpose. One office. My foundation bought an office and set up an office waiting for me. It was just amazing how divine grace happened. One full office, a new office was created for working for Pondicherry. Accommodating these 40 boxes. I created a whole library there of documents, newspapers, publications, everything which is there. And get what happened? COVID happened. The second phase of COVID happened. Prior to that, I was getting invited and I could not get a continuity to write. Now nature worked in some ways. COVID happened. All invitations stopped. I stopped getting disturbed. I had now full 9 months to write the book undisturbed. So for 1 year, these documents were carefully gone through, the note sheets, the blogs, the tweets, the text messages, the newspaper clippings, and all that I had was gone through chapter-wise, and everything started to fall in the chapter-wise based on documents. Friends, this is a very rare book. And by the way, those documents are still with me. The library is still there. The publications are still there because it's the biggest treasure of my life. But this book is based on every single authentic evidence. Newspaper clipping, note sheet, many note sheets I'd used to save, because the reason is, ma'am, did you violate Secret Officials Act? No. None of our paper was marked secret. Nothing. Not knowing why, but we said nothing, this is not secret. Let it be shared with everybody. We used to share it with everybody, so there was nothing secret. So no violation, but newspaper clippings got their due through my book. And then this book was also put on QR code. Every chapter was put under QR code. And in the QR code, you have the document, you have the newspaper clipping, and you also have the video, the small videos which we made. So you have little video snippets which we used to put on the Twitter handle or on the social media. This is the making of the book. And then came the release, and by the time COVID resigned. So COVID actually gave me undisturbed 9 months to 10 months to write the book based on documentation. And there are lots of interesting clippings where my whole bedroom is full of clippings. My chapters were being recorded, and very well assisted by Shivani Arora sitting right here, who came as a freelance journer and also as an internship with us. We also had internship chapter, but rest is all. Friends, don't miss this book. It's a life skill. It's not just the history of these 5 years. It's a life skill for your leadership, for your personal development. How you organize your life for a purpose you are wanting to fulfill. What was I trying to fulfill? That in my lifetime, I owe it to Pondicherry for what it gave to me. And it gave me love. It gave me respect. It gave me so much of regards. It gave me so much of joy. It gave me the best of friends. And the good news is, people I closely worked with during my time are still with me. We are WhatsApp groups. Bala Gandhi says hello. Ram Kumar says hello. Chandar says hello. You all say hello. We all greet each other in the morning. We haven't given up our friendship. Sham, as a young boy, volunteers, this boy start to clean up the lakes during as a volunteer. He stays with me too. He's a medical student. So friends, Vidya regularly, Vidya was the first one to come and last one to go. But question is, this is how we stay together. Friendship is forever. For me, this is Pondicherry is love forever. Pondicherry, I do hope that one day, when my ashes, we all have to go, so have I. One day my ashes go to the Ganges, I'll be leaving a will. Part of my ashes should come to the ocean of Puducherry here. Because it cannot be, I will not be at ease without the ashes being here, because I'm so much grateful to whatever Pondicherry has done for me. It gave me a lifetime transformation. It gave me a sense of fulfillment that I have been able to give all my years of experience to a great union territory called Pondicherry. Friends, this is why, this is the culmination. This cannot happen again and again. Book has been released thanks to this synergy which we have sitting here. It's because of them, and it cannot happen again. But this is now the finality of this book for Puducherry. What brings me back to Puducherry again and again, I don't know. But this is the ultimate event of the work which we did for 5 years together. Each Puducherryan, Karaikal, Mahe, Yanam, all of them have played a role, and they're all mentioned in this book. What happened in Karaikal, what happened in Mahe, what happened in Yanam, how I was welcomed with black balloons in Yanam. Black balloons in Yanam, because the person there did not want any visitation by the Lieutenant Governor, because he was talking about grievance redressal, because people were afraid to speak. And Yanam is a chapter in itself with black balloons as a picture. So friends, I will be here forever, because as I said, even my farewell will be here. And when that farewell comes, you will be informed. If Neeti is younger to me, Neeti will outlive me and my other team, and they'll inform you, here comes man's farewell. So we can all joy and rejoice that the time we did. Friends, this is what I feel. This is how I feel for Puducherry. And this is how, when this was being put together by our Vice Chancellor, you can't imagine what all went through me. This was for me a very important finale for Puducherry. I want to thank you for all the love you've given me and your presence. Each one of you present here, the Vice Chancellor, yourself, our Mr. Roland Video, whom I rang up personally saying, don't miss it, please be with me. Professor Clement, for the memories you've said, Sandhya, for the role you played, the French Dr. Paniswar Salveme, I don't know, you remember, can't speak your name correctly, Professor, you, and Rajneesh Putani sir, the registrar, Swami, who played a vital role, Shivani, who's played a role of a coordinator, and Ritu, you were wonderful. Ritu, you were wonderful, Ritu. Thank you so much for all that you've done for me, and Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for a very vibrant and emotional speech, and also for providing us a small snapshot, a brief overview of your work, contextualizing it for our students and faculty members. And I really hope that motivated our students and faculty members to take up the book and read it, so that the book actually gets an afterlife, and the magic of the words that you have produced in the book lives on onto the lives of the rest of us. Thank you so much. And now the cherry on the cake, for which I invite our registrar, Professor Rajneesh Putani, towards the end of this program. Sir.
And what a wonderful day today, and what a wonderful event. I mean, we are all full of thoughts, full of emotions after the wonderful speech by Honorable Madam, former Lieutenant Governor Kiran Bedi. We cannot express enough our gratitude and thanks to the Honorable Madam, who has very graciously accepted our invitation to relaunch this French translation of the wonderful book Fearless Governance. So let me start by thanking wholeheartedly to Madam Honorable Lieutenant Governor, former Lieutenant Governor Kiran Bedi ma'am. In fact, listening to her, I was also wondering, particularly even before she mentioned about the making of the book, when I was browsing and going through the book, this is the one thought which came to my mind, that a person has to be really a visionary to even think of documenting everything when you are in the thick of things. I was going one step further and was thinking, not only a visionary, she must be having a kind of sage or saint type of quality, that you are completely involved in the things, but at the same time you can detach yourself and think of the future when all this documentation would be provided to the younger generation to see not only a segment of the history but also a path to follow. So in that way, madam, we are really grateful to have this book from a visionary Lieutenant Governor and also from a saint-like person who has peppered this book with many, many anecdotes of wisdom. Not only the narrative of the governance, but also each chapter is giving you some kind of a nugget of wisdom which can always live with us. In fact, to summarize that, what kind of wisdom this book provides, she herself has summarized at the end, and I am borrowing those points. For anyone who is a student of management, a student of governance, interested in leadership, and interested to give your best to your profession, I think these 5-6 points that are given in the end of the chapter, last chapter, that would be kind of summary key point to take away from that book. What she says is that if you want to be really good leader, a good manager, you have to be first accessible. Accessibility is the first point, she says. Visibility, that means person should know who is the responsible person, what they are doing. So you have to make yourself visible. You have to be solution oriented. Problems are there. Instead of wasting time on problems, let us find out what are the ways that we can provide solution. In fact, the kind of narration which is there in the governance about the governance in the book, she also gave a live demonstration on the stage when she made sure that we have the services of able Nidhi Devadas to the university. Immediately she made it possible on the stage, and you would see that in the book also she narrates many such incidents where she cut through the red tape. One very good example you would see in the book is about cleaning the lakes. When the fund problem came, the volunteer is also here, she immediately made sure that no CSR is required, but no red tapeism is required. She directly connected the companies to the contractor and made sure the things happen. And the live demonstration of her working was today connecting the former secretary to the university and asking the vice chancellor, immediately getting the approval from the students, and thing is done. So this is her live demonstration of the book. And she says, get out of your comfort zone. That is the last thing which nugget summarizing the book. Get out of the comfort zone. And this I find is a really, really important advice. In fact, looking at this book, I was reminding many articles which are generally published from the management scholars, and the title they give is what is not taught you in the Harvard Business School, or what is not taught to you in the business schools. If you want to actually see the practical aspects which go beyond the textbooks, which will go beyond the management theories or beyond the leadership theory, this is the book. And I'm very happy that Honorable Vice Chancellor has already said what is not taught you in the textbook is now there in a book. So you are really lucky that you have that practical nuggets of wisdom from no one else other than Madam Kiran Bedi, madam. So I'm very, very thankful. In fact, before I go through the list of the people who have made this event possible, to thank them, I also want to acknowledge the young students who are sitting from the study school, very patiently, very keenly observing. Why I want to acknowledge them is because for a person of that young age to person like us who think that we have some experience, everybody has something to take away from this. For the young students, I want to remind about a chapter of the early, I think it is in the introduction she has written, and you also have seen in the video. She was right from her student days, when she was probably as young as they are now, she knew what she has to do, and she was very passionate about playing tennis. But she writes in the book, when she goes to the tennis court, she carries her books also with her. So that is, you cannot say I am sports, so I cannot be good in academics, or I'm focusing on academics, so I have to leave some of my interests. or some of your passion. No. You as a student, she was one of the very few people who were awarded 2 scholarships from the sports as well as from the academics, which was very rare on those days. So young students, you don't think that you cannot do this because you have to focus on that. If you really want to, if you really know what you have to do, you can achieve everything. So right from her childhood to the present day, I think she is such a good example for every one of us. Speaking of the governance, before I go through the list, I also let Madam Bedi know that I don't know whether our Vice Chancellor has already read this book or she has been motivated by your style of governance, that many of the key ideas which you have put in this, our Vice Chancellor is already implementing in our university. The day one, when he took over the charge, he first put up the grievance redressal boxes in the university for the staff members, for the teaching, for the non-teaching, as well as for the students. So this is something for all of us have to take away. So many key ideas which are very well implementable. For little bit whatever administration I have seen, I think the ideas that you have proposed are really of practical use, and each one has already been demonstrated its this best suitability, and we are really thankful for that. Now for putting up this event together, I am really thankful for let me start by thanking our Consul General, Etienne Roland PA, who has taken time out from his busy schedule and given a wonderful speech for that. Thank you very much for being with us. Let me also thank the Director Culture. Sometimes I feel that we are part of the same family, but there are certain points where we have to express explicitly our respect, our love, and our gratitude. So I am trying to take name of everyone who I feel very, very gratitude. So in that way, Professor Clement has lost one of us, but we are very grateful to you, sir, that you are here today on this event. And as usual, you have provided excellent examples, which some of them were not there in the book. So thank you for that. I also thank all the former associate of Madam Kiran Bedi. Particularly, I would like to mention Madam Vidya Kumar, because she has been helping us in many other ways also. So thank you very much for being involved with the university and doing this. Because the key thing of this book is documentation, and I just came to know that the one person who was helping Madam to realize her vision and documenting Mrs. Shivani Arora. So a big thank goes to Mrs. Shivani Arora as well. I would also like to thank, of course, the wonderful anchor of the program, Dr. Ritu Tyagi, and the way she was anchoring and providing her own nuggets of wisdom in between. It is really wonderful, and we know her already that she is a wonderful anchor. That is why she is here today anchoring this program. So thank you, Dr. Ritu Tyagi. I would again like to thank each one of you who are here today as an audience. In fact, before I thank, I would congratulate you that you are here today participating in this wonderful program, going away with lot of thoughts, lot of inspiration, lot of motivation. So thank you all of you. Before I end, I also like to thank the housekeeping staff, the media, the EMMRC who is here, who is recording everything, and you would soon have this entire recording on our university YouTube channel called EduCast. So you're all welcome to again refresh your memories of the wonderful speeches that have been given from this dais. So thank you EMMRC staff for recording all the proceedings. I also thank all the security personnel who have ensured that everything goes smoothly. So big thanks to all the security staff. So before I end, I just want to share, probably everyone in the audience must be sharing this. After watching the short video, we all are eagerly looking forward the biopic Bedi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was indeed a cherry on the cake because of your very efficient summarizing of the book. You have taken time out, read the book thoroughly, and you have summarized it very efficiently for our students and faculty members, and I hope that that has motivated them enough. Before we wrap up this program, this was actually supposed to be an interactive program between the students and Dr. Kiran Bedi. So we would now like to invite one or two questions from the audience, particularly the students, if they're interested in asking something, before we wrap it up.
Good morning, ma'am. I am Ellen Tushar. I study in the study L'École Internationale. We are the French students of the study, and I think one thing that we have learned together is the value not only of determination but also of as a leader, it's important to remember that people are not just numbers on a page. People are the reason you are a leader. So an important thing to remember is to treat everyone with respect, because the reason you are a leader is because of the people. And so I think we have learned the value of expressing ourselves as leaders by treating those around us well. So well said. Thank you. So well said.
I was very inspired on how you talked about productivity and how you as an 8th grader even when you were in 7th grade, in the end of it you started preparing for 8th grade and all that. And I'll also be attending your book reading session this Sunday, and I'm very interested in it. So looking forward to meet you on Sunday.
Excellent. Most welcome. We see you on Sunday.
This SP East here, ma'am, and I had to come and see you, ma'am. And before this, I actually did my probation in the North District in Delhi, which is where you were DCP, ma'am. And till date, you are remembered so much for the iconic work that you've done for the country and for the police in particular. And I wanted to say what I learned from you, because you have obviously been the initiator of women in the police service. So there is that which makes you stand out. But what I learned from you as a police officer and as a human being is that you've always taken a stand. You've never been afraid to use your voice and stand for the things you believe in. And I think since you talk about fearless governance, which is what your book is about, I'm just starting out my career, ma'am. But as we navigate the complexities of governance, I realize this is the most important thing, which is to take a stand, ma'am. And I think you do that fantastically. So thank you. We learn a lot from that.